Okay, guys, so our topic today is discuss both views. So this is the continuation of your writing saga. So again, we have 5 writing task descriptions that you need to attend to. They are your agree, disagree. They are your to what extent do you agree, disagree. You have your open-ended. Do you think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? And here it is, your discuss both views. Now, I just want to share my opinion on this matter. That discuss both views is perhaps one of the easiest topics out there. Well, you will not be saying that, oh, I think sir is just mocking or belittling discuss both views, but later you will find that there is a very simple yet strategic way for us candidates to understand what sort of arrangement, paragraphing, how many paragraphs is it going to be for the entire thing. So the topics do not require you to be a specialist. You do not require yourself to have a specialist knowledge, but for the bare minimum, you have to be able to present ideas on general issues. So what do we mean by general issues? So you will encounter topics, questions, ideas, which have some public interest. So what are those ideas that generate public interest? So we have, let's say, education. You have healthcare, topics about environment. What about technology, the common societal concerns? So anything that has to do with current events, with ideas that require people to provide their opinion, to put their 2 cents of the matter, that is what you're going to expect on the exam. You know what? Luckily, because you guys are 9.09er IELTS reviewee, you already have an access to my orange book. And that orange book, on the back portion of it, I don't know if it's page 55, but as you proceed on the latter portion, you will see 155 total sample questions. So now what's good about getting hold of those questions? Well, you see the questions in writing, specifically task 2, they are being recycled. They are constantly being repeated. So what questions you see on the orange book, those are the same ones that you will encounter on your actual exam. So it gives us an advantage to actually prepare beforehand. So that is the idea why I suggest, if you guys are having trouble getting hold of ideas when it comes to writing, then perhaps reading for 1 to 2 minutes of all those questions will spark some topics on your head and probably prompt you to acquire some information. So, sir, what are the useful materials that I should read so that I can acquire necessary pieces of information? So since we're talking about ideas on general issues, then the best reading material for you to acquire information would be newspaper. Okay, not just any other newspaper though. I want you to read broadsheets, Philippine Star, Philippine Daily Inquirer. I want you to read online news portals because they contain English, an academic level of using the English language to present opinions. Well, naturally, in discuss both views, there's not much need of your opinion. Actually, there will be instances where you don't have to actually present your point of view of the matter, but it is very ideal that you can provide reasons. And the reasons that you will be giving in your presentation of ideas would somehow be relevant, should be objective. So when it comes to say objective, it's not just sabi-sabi. It's actually being measured by certain parameters or standards. So again, that is the basic idea of what you need to do before you can somehow be at a level that would seem ideal, okay, for someone who will take their examinations, especially those who will take their exams soon. Now, as promised, for my academic attendees, I've mentioned this yesterday that I was not able to compare why are we going to spend 20 minutes in task 1 and 40 minutes for task 2. Why is there an imbalance? Why is there an imbalance between a writing task 2 and a writing task 1. Now for general training, you only have one lecture for that. That is your GT letter writing. And for those of you who haven't attended my GT letter writing, the replay is already posted on my YouTube channel. So what you should do after this lecture, if you need to know more about the GT letter writing, you can ask me directly. I will be sending you the link so that you can have an understanding. Oh, why is writing task 1 20 minutes and why is writing task 2 40 minutes? Now, to answer your question in a very simple manner, okay? Writing task 2 would require you to spend roughly 40 minutes for this because it requires you to write more than 250 words. Whereas if you're going to compare it with your academic or general training task 1, you will be spending 20 minutes roughly because your task 1, either your acad or GT, you only require yourself to submit a 150-word report. So 150, I can spend less time. 250, I need to spend more time. That is the reason why there's an imbalance between the two. So in total, your writing subtest would last for 40 minutes. Every second count. Every minute is precious in this test. So what you must do is that for every minute, for every moment of your writing subtest, you are doing something valuable. You're doing something that's actually worth it. It's either you are conceptualizing ideas or you're actually drafting your answers. It doesn't matter. What I don't want to happen is during the test, you're blank. Okay, that's why we prepare beforehand. And that is why this lecture is here, because I want to help you out specifically if this is the question that you will experience. Well, you know what? Of all the students I've encountered, of all those students who reported back to me, who passed their examination, this is the question that they experience. So this gives us a total idea. This gives us a clear definition of how easy writing task 2 discussable views is as compared to the other types. Do you think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, or that to what extent you agree disagree? Because those types of questions, they require a bit more technical when it comes to the arrangement of where the positive and negative should be placed. So again, in the actual exam, you spend more time in task 2. You are going to do this first. Sir, I thought this is task 2. I thought 2 comes second and first the one comes first. Well, actually, in the actual exam, in real life scenario, you will be doing task 2 first. And the reason for that is because task 2 carries more weight than your task 1. You have to spend more than 40 minutes. You have to spend 40 minutes of your time. You have to write more than 250 words. You have to put more effort in doing task 2 because task 2 is composed of 66% of your total writing examination subtest band score. So to put this simply, if you will get, okay, an 8, okay, writing task 2, if you will get an 8 equivalent, all right, and then your writing task 1, you will get an equivalent of 5. Basically, an equivalent of 5 is a failing score. But if you're going to use the formula that examiners actually use, they do this: writing task 1 plus writing task 2, okay, multiply by 2. So it means that 33% is only awarded for task 1. Hence, 2/3 of your score is divided for task 2. And then this will be divided by 3. That's why if you get 8, okay, so look at that. If I'm going to multiply, you have 5 in task 1. I'm going to add it with 8. But before we do that, we multiply it by 2. So you will get 16. So 16 is equivalent to 21. Now, basic mathematics, 21 divided by 3, that is an equivalent of a band 7. And band 7 is what we want to have. So everyone here, our target minimum is not 5, it's not 6. Our target minimum score in the IELTS writing subtest is 7. You get 7.5, you get 8, that's great. But let me tell you this, nobody in the Philippines got an 8.5 or higher for the past 2 years. So that is one of the primary reasons why I am encouraging everyone that if they want to get a decent score, they should also put importance in task 1. So wag lang nating isang tabi si task 1 because it's still 33%. So if you will not be graded here, you will only get a grade of 1. If you will just only write your name or you will just write 1 to 2 sentences, if you will not finish it, you will get a failing score. That's why I want both task 2 and task 1 to work in congruence for one another so that you can actually get a decent band score, perhaps a 7, and we welcome a band score higher than that. We want a 7.5, we need an 8. Those are our target band score. No one is here because, oh, gusto ko lang ng 5, oh, gusto ko lang ng 6. No, you're not here because you want 5 or 6. You're here because you want 7, and I'm going to teach you how to get that elusive band score. So, you will be assessed by the examiners according to your ideas. So whether you answer the question, whether you follow the format. So in order for you to substantially complete the task in its responsiveness manner, you need to understand the needed format for the given essay. So what that format is, I'm going to explain to you later. Okay, I'm going to do a breakdown of a comparison of what the format is, but we already have a PDF file for that. That PDF file is your writing task 2 format. For those of you who have not yet got a hold of that copy, send me a message, sir, where's the copy of your writing task 2 format so that I can make an easy comparison so that you can print it in advance or you can log onto your device and click it because it's PDF. It's accessible to any device that you have, whether it's iOS or Android or Windows, even Linux. So if you're using other operating systems on your device, you can access this because it's PDF. Now, the basic formula for you to get a high band score when it comes to task response. By the way, you have 4 criterion, okay? So, and they are your task response, coherence, vocabulary, and grammar. When it comes to task response, this is very important because 1 out of 5 Filipinos submit their writing tasks under length, and our target band here, okay, is this. We need to present an information with a number of words between 250 and 320. You do not want to write less than 250, okay? Because a less than 250, including 49, that is equivalent to a TR score, okay? TR score of 5. That is automatic. And you will be getting a penalty of 1 because if you see the actual test paper, there is a penalty. And the deduction, this is where it hurts. The deduction is not just on TR. The deduction happens if all those 4 criteria will be added together. So to put this simply, all right, so you get 5 in TR. So let me draw another. So you got 5 in TR. So your TR score gets 5. TR is equivalent to 5. And then your CC gets an 8. Again, the highest score in the Philippines for the past 2 years is 8. My highest ever student in the IELTS, which was last July, Ashwini, okay? She got 9 in listening, 9 in reading, 9 in speaking, but only 8 in writing. So she's that good. But even her was not able to transcend the wrath of getting an 8.5 or even 9. So your CC is 8, your VLR, your vocab gets an 8, and then your grammar gets an 8. So what are we going to do? You add them together. So 8 plus 8 plus 8, that's 24 plus 5, that's 29. So 29, you do a quick math, you will divide it by 4. That's how you are assessed. So 29 divided by 4, you will get a 7. So A7 pa rin pala, that's already passed eh. But are you forgetting something? You have a penalty of 1 because your TR is only 5 because your writing task is under length. So your penalty now is 7 minus 1, that will only be equivalent to 6. So the highest possible score you can get, okay, the highest possible score you can get is a 6, even If you will get 8 in grammar, 8 in vocab, and 8 in coherence and cohesion. And most of you guys, especially the ones who are academic, you need to get a band 6.5 or higher because you're trying to get into a university for a course eligibility, or you're trying to get a 6.5 OBS for US, or you're trying to get a 6.5 for writing in the UK. So clearly, if your writing task will be less than 250, 249, it would definitely hurt your band score in your task too. Okay, so this is something that we don't want to happen. That's why every lecture that I will have, you will always see me, you will always hear me repeating the same information over and over again. Okay, now, you have to provide an essay in the time given. You have 40 minutes, you have to finish that in 40 minutes. Another, okay, use the third and fourth section of your answer sheet. I have already posted the sample answer sheets, the official answer sheets. So I want you to print them out so that you can have an idea of how this works. So use the third and fourth page of the answer sheet. Okay, again, use the third and fourth page of the answer sheet for task 2 because the first and second page would be dedicated for task 1. Again, you don't want to make this mistake of using the other page of the answer sheet to the opposite one, because that is the gravest mistake that you could possibly commit. Please read, please look at your answer sheets. I will not highlight this any further. That mistake is the gruelest mistake that you could commit. All right, not writing your answer on the dedicated answer sheet. So please use it. Now we have different assigned answer sheet depending on your module. So we have the gray one for academic. Okay, we have the gray one for academic, and for GT you have a yellow answer sheet. Okay, so definitely you have different colors of your answer sheets. So use the appropriate answer sheet for this matter. Okay, so guys, before I present the coherence and cohesion, do you guys have any questions? Questions? None? Are you sure? Okay, so I'm going to clear my drawings here. Okay, and then let me move on to my next slide. All right, again, for task response, we will be breaking down our time into valuable stages. So the first 5 minutes, actually, I don't want everyone to spend more than 7. So just spend probably 3 to 4 minutes analyzing and planning. Don't worry, I'll teach you how to analyze and plan properly. That will come later in the various stages of your essay writing. So 30 to 35 minutes will be allotted for your drafting, and then the 2 to 3 minutes of the final stage of your writing will be dedicated for checking, what we call proofreading, whether or not you will find it yourself. Have you committed errors in grammar? Are you having problems with the punctuation? What about erasures? Did you erase those items properly? What about subject-verb agreement? What about tenses? Okay, what about spelling? Even spelling, minor things like spelling, articles, preposition, those are being checked. So that's what we do in the latter part of your task response, 40 minutes to check your own work. Because as your coach, I will not be there with you anymore to check whether or not you committed an error. We don't have any other shot at this. This is just one time, big time. So you do everything in your powers to come out and be victorious in this matter. So coherence is the organization of your idea. And when it comes to organization, there are 3 things that you need to understand. One is the logical flow, whether there is transition. Okay, so logical flow refers to the transition of your idea. So when it comes to transition, I will be explaining about that later. So parts of an essay. So we're going to refer to this as paragraphing. So your paragraphs, and then unification of ideas, you have your connectors. So you have your visible, you have your invisible connectors, you have your discourse markers, you have your coordinating and subordinating conjunction. So when it comes to coherence and cohesion, this is everything. So coherence is the arrangement. Okay, so coherence, this is the arrangement. Arrangement of ideas. Whether you have presented your ideas in proper manner. So we follow a certain format. So if you follow the certain format, then you are going to get a good mark for coherence and cohesion. All right. But cohesion refers to the connecting device. Okay, connecting devices that you use. Whether are you using those connecting devices properly? Are you following the sequence in which they are properly used? And are you using a variety of connecting devices? So if you're doing those stuff, then there's a high chance that you would get a coherence and cohesion, a high score for coherence and cohesion remarks. So that is coherence, organization of ideas, logical flow, parts of an essay, unification of ideas. So for a much better clarity, all right, what we refer to as cohesion is that you are going to pertain to one idea at a time. So what you need to do is to give the idea, this is my opinion, or this is my viewpoint, this is my reason, and then you explain why, and then you give examples to prove that your point is valid. So that's how you possess clarity for coherence and cohesion. Again, I'm not going to use the word opinion anymore for this part because it's a very controversial issue when it comes to the format of agree disagree, because agree disagree, to what extent is do you think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? We refer to them as opinion. But oftentimes, as I've mentioned in the beginning of the lecture, in your discussable views, your opinion might not even be needed. So again, for clarity, you discuss your point of view, okay? You discuss your perception of the matter, you elaborate it, you justify it, you provide examples to make sure that the point you made is valid, okay? So you provide evidences. Now, vocabulary. Vocabulary and lexical resource, there are two things that examiners hate when it comes to vocabulary. You have two R's. Those two R's, we have the repetition and redundancy. You know what? Repetition and redundancy are very different from one another. Repetition is when it comes to the volume, all right? Volume. You're going to use the same word over and over again. Let's talk about your essay question. Your question is about the society. So there is a necessity for you as a candidate to use the word people, right? And then the problem comes with your usage of people, because by volume, you have utilized this word for like 8 to 10 times in your entire essay. That's where the problem comes. So if you're going to write 8 to 10 times on your entire essay for the same word, that will be cataloged as repetitive. So that's it. Redundancy. Redundancy is the implication of the same idea. So let me give you an example, okay, of a redundancy. Let me write a sentence here. Let's say education is important and essential for students' future career. There we go. All right. So what makes the sentence here redundant? Well, if you take a look closely, both the words essential and important, they mean the same thing. So when they mean the same thing, why are you going to put a same idea side by side together? That's why if you're using too many ends, too many ors, it would actually refer to as redundancy. I'm not saying right away, but what I'm trying to say is there's a great chance that the thoughts and ideas of your sentences would contain more redundancy if you're using too many ends and too many ors. Let's say, for example, online learning or studying. Learning and studying are the same. Why are you going to use or anymore? Why don't you go with online learning and then use studying later? Okay, so do not put the same word that mean the same, okay, which have the same meaning side by side because it creates redundancy. So I hope you guys understand what redundancy is, all right? So words are, okay, words are not copied from the task description. So this is actually another important detail that we must not miss. There is a reason why we paraphrase, okay? Because we do not want to repeat the words from the task description. Obviously, if we do that, examiners would think that we are not very resourceful when it comes to the words. So avoid copying the words from the task description. Now let's talk about technical words like jargon, those medical terminologies, all right? You don't have to refer to the hip as pelvic, or you don't have to refer to the arm by saying the ulnar area, okay? So we don't use a lot of technical words, especially IT terms. We don't use jargon. We don't use slangs. We don't use YOLO. We don't use a lot of shortcuts. So make sure that your vocabulary is appropriate, okay? And also make sure that your vocabulary is formal. Okay, avoid contraction. Again, what is contraction? Here it is. Shortcuts. So if a person is converting this there has into theirs, okay, it will be referred to as contraction, and this is considered informal. Remember that your essay writing is formal writing, so avoid using contractions. Okay, yung don't, won't, can't, bawal yan. Wanna, gonna, yeah, cause, bawal yan. All right, so you have to write the words as they are. No shortcuts are allowed. Okay, now what else? Well, if we are not going to use big words, okay, what we refer to as highfalutin words, okay, highfalutin words versus common words. All right, so when it comes to highfalutin words versus common words, this is where the dilemma comes into the picture. Many people think that when it comes to IELTS, they should use uncommon vocabulary. Okay, they should use words like, let me change my marking here. They should use words like gargantuan or humongous or flabbergasted. All right, those words. Examiners actually don't like seeing those words. So if you're going to use these words, both in the vocabulary of your writing and even in the vocabulary of your speaking, examiners would be dumbfounded as to thinking, why are you using this word? Because practically, your vocabulary level here should be something that conveys a communicative approach. Okay, it's trying to communicate to the reader, not to make things complicated. Sir, gargantuan is my replacement for the word big. But big, small, happy, sad, good, bad, those are what we call everyday words. Okay, let me change my text color now. So the everyday words, you have your good, bad, happy, you have your sad, you have the small, you have the big. Examiners also hate them because for them, they are too common. So instead of using good, or instead of using a very complicated word for good, you can use the word beneficial. Okay. All right. Or advantages for noun. Now for bad, so you can use other terms for bad. What words are you going to use to refer to as bad? You can use evil. You can use harmful. Okay, you can use disadvantage. Okay, so those are the words. What about happy? Later, you will see that one of the topics in discussable views would use happy. So you have your words like joy, pleased, bliss. What about sad? So my take here is that if you're going to use humongous, or gargantuan versus huge. I would choose huge. The only reason why examiners don't like seeing the words good or bad is because they are too common. They are everyday words. When you say too common, you always hear that, like good morning, good night. Diba? Para sa mga may nag-good morning dyan. May nag-good morning, nag-good night ba sa inyo? Kung wala, good morning, good night yung sarili nyo. Okay? So that's my idea here. Examiners don't like everyday common words, so you can replace it with something less common, but still formal. But remember, do not use the words gargantuan or humongous or flabbergasted because those are what we call highfalutin words. So avoid too technical, avoid too common. So we're going to choose something in the middle. Okay? No cliche, no idiomatic expressions. All right? When you say cliche or idiomatic expression, health is wealth, time is gold. Those honesty is the best policy. Examiners don't like that. Make sure that you write legibly. For people who will be taking the pen and paper based exam, make sure to write legibly because your handwriting is also going to be a factor in your essay. There is literally a box that examiners check in your answer sheet that says illegible. So if it is illegible, there will still be penalty. So sir, what am I going to do? My handwriting really sucks. Okay, I can't write legibly. What is your suggestion? Well, we have your computer-based exam in which you will be typing your answers instead of writing them. But sir, I'm not a good typer. I'm not able to type really fast. That is going to be your problem. So right now, think of what you're going to improve. Are you going to improve your handwriting? Are you going to improve on your typewriting skills? So you have to start right now. Okay, so that is my suggestion. So vocabulary, avoid redundancy, avoid repetition, and make sure that your words are formal. Now, grammar. So there are a lot of things that you need to understand for grammar, sentence structures. So make sure that your sentences are complete. So we need to avoid this, what we call fragment sentence. So fragment sentences happen when your sentences begin with fanboys, okay? So if your sentence begin with fanboys, or your sentence begins with especially, or it begins with followed by, or it begins with while, well, your sentence will be considered fragmented. And the problem with fragment sentences are that they are not just grammatical problems, they would also cause dents off of your coherence and cohesion score. So what are those fanboys? So for those who don't know, you are not supposed to start your sentences with for, okay, and, nor, but, or, yet. So, sir, what about and? I have written a very long sentence already. So let's talk about this. So this is your sentence, and your sentence is very long. And what you did is you stopped, but you're going to add something. You use and then you added the additional idea like this. Okay, so what makes that thing wrong? Okay, it's because and is not supposed to connect sentences together. And is only meant to connect ideas within the sentence. So what you can use is your connecting device that can function to connect ideas on sentence level. So you can replace and with moreover. You can replace and with furthermore. You can replace furthermore with in addition. You can replace in addition with additionally. So that your connectors would now be worthy for a beginner of a sentence. So you cannot start your sentences with for and nor but or yet. So by the way, we have exceptions. For example, for instance, if you guys are wondering, those are what we call phrases. So because they are phrases that have existed even way before, we're going to stick with it. Okay. So you do not start with for and nor but or yet so. You do not start with specially followed by and while. So you only start with followed by if it is preceded by this is. This is followed by problems brought about by pollution. Especially must be inside a sentence, while most people kasi they forget the clause. So if this is your dependent clause, they forget the independent clause. So let's say, while my mother was cooking dinner, comma, I was washing the dishes. So why not, I was washing the dishes while my mother is cooking dinner? That is better because you put while in its rightful place. So to avoid fragment, don't worry guys, we will be having your grammar for IELTS lecture replay soon. And then we'll be having your grammar 6 and grammar 7 live lectures. So you don't have to worry about this. If you cannot, absorb everything all at once, we have lectures for grammar, which is specific for this. Now, those are completion of your sentences, but we also have to acknowledge your tenses. You also have to acknowledge the proper tense. Are you using the proper tenses? Use your simple tenses, simple present, simple past, simple future. Use your prepositions correctly. Your in, on, at, from, to, by. Use your conjunctions, the connecting devices that I've mentioned a while ago. So use your coordinating and subordinating conjunctions properly. Avoid using very informal punctuation. So we do not use exclamation marks. We do not use question marks. The purpose of your essay is for you to answer a question, not for you to ask a question back. So you do not use question marks and exclamation points. No all caps. Make sure that you write in following the proper capitalization rules. Make sure that you spell the words correctly, because misspelled words as well as grammar, they take off points both from your grammar and vocabulary score. So please, please, please make sure to spell the words correctly. All right, so that is just my take on your grammar. So that is how the examiner will be assessing your performance off of this. Guys, before I continue with the rest of your discussion, do you guys have any questions, concerns, clarifications that you need to ask me now? Anything? All right, so I think no one is asking any questions, so I would take that as a no question. So let us move to the actual discussion. So your topic in writing today is called the discuss both views and give your opinion. All right, discuss both views and give your opinion. So what you need to do here is you will be comparing opinions for and against, comparing arguments for and against, and you are going to compare opposing opinions. So not your opinion, not your argument, but the argument relevant to the people who are involved in the topic. Oftentimes, it's not going to be people. Sometimes you will see topics that are about animals. Let's say some people say that animals being used as test subjects for scientific experiments are beneficial to society. Others say it's inhumane. Discuss both views and give your opinion. So the who element of your essay is not people, but the animals involved in the question. So that is what you're expected to do in a discuss both type of essay. You need to compare opposing opinions, opinions which are not your own, opinions which are valid from everyone else's perspective, and you need to compare arguments. Arguments for, which means you advocate the argument, arguments against, which you're going to refer to the disadvantages of the argument. So let me continue. This is not the same as the other task because, take a look at this. Your discuss both views are only meant for you to give the opinion from the perspective of others. Your agree, disagree. Your to what extent do you agree, disagree? Your do you think the advantages outweigh outweigh the disadvantages, these are what we call the opinion type of essay. But we also have another type, which is the type slash, and they are your discuss both views, which is what we're doing right now. And you have your open-ended, which is going to be somewhat, if not next week, the other week, okay? But we will be doing it on October, all right? So by the month of October, we'll be doing your open-ended. So in October, just hang on tight, we'll be doing the open-ended. So again, this is not the same as the other task because your agree disagree to what extent this needs your defense of your own opinion, your own point of view. But discuss both views, you will be discussing the view, not your view, but the point of view from the perspective of others. That's the main difference. So let's take a look at some of the questions that you might encounter in a question like this. Take a look. As I've mentioned, happy, sad, you will be using that word. So you need to find synonyms for that. So here is your question. I'm going to use my annotation, okay? So some people think that personal happiness is directly related to economic success. This is your first view. Now, I'm going to use the green one for the second view. Others, again, not you, argue that happiness depends on completely different factors. And then here is your task description. Discuss both views, your instruction, and give your opinion. Okay, I just want to compare, all right, and make some discussions about this. So I've broken down your task description into 3 parts. The first view is highlighted in red. The second view is highlighted in green. So it is important that candidates like you can determine what the views are, where are they located, and what the actual instruction is. Sir, the question I have is there a difference between discuss both views lang versus discuss both views and pwede ring then give your opinion? Sir, what about the word discuss? Okay, what about discuss lang po ang nakalagay? Are we going to consider that as discuss both views? Actually, this word discuss is a pretty controversial topic. But let me enlighten you on this one. When you say discuss, it wants you to elaborate on different things. Like, there are many causes and effects of youth drug abuse, but people say there are solutions to this, and then discuss. Now, if you're going to review the narrative of your task description, that statement right there, it asks for the causes, the effects, and the solutions that you have. So it does not necessarily need for you to follow the discuss both views format because you're being asked to discuss the causes, effects, and solution. So again, when you see discuss, it does not automatically clicks in our head that the format of your essay will be discuss both views. So read the narrative of the context of your task description entirely so that you may be able to unlock what the actual format is behind it. Okay, so that is where you do your discuss. Now, that is your discuss. So what is the difference between discuss both views alone and discuss both views, then give your opinion and give your opinion? Actually, the answer lies in the conclusion. So the answer lies in the conclusion. So we're not yet in the introduction. We're not yet in the body. We're not yet in the conclusion even. So let me hold this. Let me not spoil you any further. So I'm going to explain to you whether or not they have differences whatsoever. So what I am requesting is for everyone to hold their horses. We will be discussing this later. Okay, whether there's a difference between discuss both views alone and whether there's a difference between the discuss both views then or and give your opinion. Okay, so now some people say that healthcare, okay, some people say that healthcare, I'm going to use the red one. Some people say that healthcare and education should be the responsibility of the government. Okay, but, okay, let me put a box here on but. Let me put a box here on but, okay, but others think that, okay, it is the responsibility of the individuals themselves. Are you guys seeing this? Again, I am correlating the different views. I am finding where they are located. I am thinking as to what the actual views are, what ideas do they represent, and what the instruction is. Again, let us not forget the instruction. Your instruction here is discuss both views and give your opinion. So I'm just breaking down the entire task description. By the way, for those of you who don't know yet, we refer to this entire thing as the task description. Okay, we refer to this as the task description, this entire thing right here. We call this a task description. Now, I've made some breakdowns of where the first view is, where the other view is, and what the instruction actually is. So that's it. That's the first thing you need to do. When you already have your task description, you need to ask yourself, what are the views? What is the instruction? Where are the views located? So that's the first step, okay, in understanding your task description. Because again, understanding task description is very essential in our journey in succeeding in this type of test. Now, introduction. Okay, in introduction, this is how you are going to write your very first paragraph. Okay, again, before I proceed, by the way, everyone, do you guys have any questions or concerns? LJ, Nina, Jeffrey, Mary Rose, Jao, Carla, Jocelyn, Jonalyn, Christine, and Joy Camille. Do you guys have any questions? Let me hear it if you have any.
None, sir.
Okay, thank you so much for responding.
None, sir.
Okay, so let me continue with introduction. Guys, this is the very first step. Okay, so we're actually doing this. We're actually going to write an essay right now. Okay, so how to write a legitimate introduction. So the introduction is also called as your opening statement. And your opening statement, for it to be valid, for it to be a valid opening statement, you need to be neutral. Okay, you need to be neutral about it. No need for you to say you agree or disagree with the concept. Again, that is the primary reason why I am holding myself with this urge not to refer to the discuss both views as your opinion. So you do not agree, you do not disagree, you do not say you believe, you do not use a statement that uses I, okay, primarily because it means that you are presenting your own point of view. So your task here is to discuss other views, the other people's views, and not to present your own point of view of the matter. That is the difference, okay? So you have to be neutral. So sir, how am I going to remain neutral? So there are two ways that I can give you as a tip. You need to do two things. One is generalization. You ask yourself, what is the topic about in general? What is the general idea behind the topic? And then paraphrasing. Again, there is a very important aspect of paraphrasing here. We use paraphrasing because your vocabulary is being assessed. When it comes to paraphrasing, again, when it comes to paraphrasing, examiners will be thinking as to whether you have repeated the words from the task description and whether you have come up with your own version. So if you will just be repeating words from the task description, then they will be thinking, oh, this candidate right here does not have a clear understanding of what the words are, does not have a very resourceful way to find another path on his or her own. So if you know my point, we paraphrase because we don't want the examiner to think that we are repeating the words from the task description, that we can come up with our own words. Okay, so do not write any word definition. Do not write any word definition. Like a book is a bunch of papers where there are written ideas and people can read. So you don't say that. Like a face is composed of a set of eyes, eyebrows, nose, mouth. You don't say that. A glass is where you put water in. You don't give any word definition. And again, this is where you do not put any cliche, any sayings or quotations like health is wealth, or honesty is the best policy, or time is gold. So you don't do that here because that's what examiners don't like. Again, one of the words that I don't want you to repeat is this. Okay. Now, there is a very interesting history behind examiners not being in favor of this word anymore. Well, you see, almost all of the essays in the past, okay, contain this word. Majority of test takers are not enrolled in review centers like this. You guys are very lucky because I can transfer what I know. I can give you all my knowledge and skills so that you can use it on your own, so that when the day of your examination comes, you'll be able to function independently. Okay, so now the thing is, nowadays, sir, what happened? Why in the past examiners like nowadays? We see nowadays on every single essay what happened. You see, that's the problem. Every single essay in the past contains these words. Okay, nowadays. And in Cebu, there was a time when 200 test takers was able to accomplish the exam, and only one person passed the test. That person is the one who did not use the word nowadays. So, sir, what word can I possibly use to replace nowadays with? All right, if examiners don't like us candidates to use that word anymore, because probably most of the test takers will still be using this because they are not enrolled in review centers like this. They will be using the old samples online. Even YouTube, they will be searching for samples on Google. They'll be searching for samples on IELTS Liz, IELTS Simon. I have nothing against those websites, by the way. I have nothing against them. What I'm against is that the ideas are repetitive. You do not have an originality, and originality is being assessed here. Where? Your coherence and cohesion. If on the back portion, on the end portion of the paper, if you're going to flip it out in the other side, you will see boxes illegible, under length, and you will also see memorized. So just by seeing nowadays, something will click that, oh, this is another memorized format from an online source. So I don't want you guys to be labeled as that. So nowadays can be replaced with these days. In today's time, in this day and age. This one is quite long. In this day and age, except nowadays, which only one word, right? Today, simple as that. Presently, at present, don't forget the comma. Currently, So you have how many words to replace nowadays with? You actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So choose whatever you think is going to work for you. Okay? So that is how you open. We will be paraphrasing some samples right now. Again, no stand. Stand is the opinion upon which you have to justify later in the body of your presentation. So when you provide a stand here, it's like, hey, examiner, I'm writing an opinion in the introduction. Fail me already. You're inviting them to fail you. So please, no opinions in the beginning. No stand. Okay. This is what our sample, this is what I'm going to use as my example. All right. Some say that knowledge from experience is better than knowledge gained from books. This is what your first idea will be, your first view. Some say that knowledge from experience is better than knowledge gained from books. Now, where is the other view? This one. Some say it is the other way around, or some persons claim the opposite. Now, we need to discuss both views, and we also have to provide our opinion. Okay, so what am I going to do? I will be generalizing the idea. Okay, when it comes to the generalization, what do you think is the main topic, main idea from this question? Mary Rose Padilla, what do you think is the main topic, the general idea behind this task description? Mary Rose, help me around on this one. All right, what about you, Zhao? Zhao, what is the main idea behind this?
Sir, ano po, some people believe that knowledge and experience.
No, I just want you to give me one idea. What is the general idea behind this? Just one word.
Sir, how to acknowledge some learning from different kinds of perspective.
Okay, it's very simple. The topic is about education. The topic is about education. To be specific, knowledge acquisition. Like, what is a relevant way to acquire knowledge? Is it from the books? Okay, which is red, or is it from experience, which is going to be our color green? Okay, so this is the topic that we will be discussing right now. Okay, so we have knowledge acquisition, education. Some people prefer reading material. So again, we need to paraphrase. So books, we will list down some synonyms for books. Books, I can replace it with reading materials. Okay. Knowledge, I can replace it simply by using the word wisdom. What about some say? I can use probably many individuals claim that. So for this one, some say that knowledge from experience is better than knowledge gained from books. So I could probably write an essay that sounds something like this. So many individuals hold the opinion, again, their opinion, that acquisition of information is better done through reading materials. Meanwhile, this is my first view, guys. Okay. This is my first view. Many individuals hold the opinion that acquisition of information is better done through reading materials. I'm going to use the green one now. However, because this is the complete opposite, other people are convinced that personal experience is still much better to gain wisdom. That is my introduction. Many individuals hold the opinion that acquisition of information is better done through reading materials. However, other people are convinced, or other people claim, I can use the word, that word, other people claim that personal experience is still much better, is still much better way, is still the much better way to gain wisdom. That's it. My introduction is already complete. So again, you don't have to worry whether, I was not able to copy everything. Medyo malabo itong part na to. Ayan. Yung many individuals, I was not able to put it in its correct form. Don't worry. Samples will be uploaded later and you will see the entire thing later. So if you want, as we breeze through the slides, you can take screenshots. But once again, there's no need for that because I will be uploading the exact samples I have for this today. So I did this that quick. That is the amount of time that you only have to spend for introduction. You just have to paraphrase. You just have to get the general idea, and then you just have to express it using your own words. And when it comes to expressing using your own words, you have to use a variety of sentence structure. You have to change the words, you have to convert some of the words from the past descriptions into a synonym. That is just my tip for this. Okay. Before I proceed to my next slide, do you have any questions with how I made my introduction for this? Do you have a question, Jonalyn?
None, sir. It's almost
Okay.
like the same po kahapon.
Oh, thank you so much. What about you, Christine Magadia? Do you have any questions?
None, sir.
Okay, so let me continue. So let's talk about this topic. Eating at home versus eating at restaurants. You know what? In IELTS, questions like this exist. Pati pagkain mo kung saan kakakain nagiging topic, di ba? So that's why we need to be really specific to questions. So again, this is the question. Eating at restaurant. So let me highlight this using my annotations here. So I'm going to use the red for the first view. So eating at restaurants. Okay. Eating at restaurants is convenient for many people. Okay, while others, they prefer the home cooked meals, which many of us do. Eating at home because it is much cheaper. Again, this is discuss both views, so there is no need for you to present your opinion. Sir, what about this? Give your opinion. Okay, don't worry, we will talk about this later. Okay, so we're just dealing with your introduction. So this give your opinion aspect will be talked later. So the first thing you need to do is to introduce the first view. What about the other view? eating at home. So that is your 2 to 3 sentence, okay? So first, let us generalize. The place as to where people eat, or the preference as to where people eat still remains unresolved for some. Many individuals choose to eat or choose to prepare their meals at home, while other like to dine in restaurants at their own. Okay, so many individuals choose to prepare their meals at home, while others like to dine in restaurants for a variety of reasons, which reasons I will not be disclosing yet. So what I stated here is that first I generalized the topic. The topic is about where people eat, and where people eat is still a mystery. Like some people might refer to eating at home as impractical, while other people would refer to eating as restaurant as gross. But look at the first sentence. I made a general idea out of this. So this is what I call generalization. Now on the second sentence, this is where I put the two views together. Okay, many individuals like to choose to prepare their meals at home. This is the people who eat at home. And then this is the other, while, using the word while because they are equal elements, okay? Others like to dine in restaurants, okay? For a variety of reasons. So people have their own reasons. People have the reasons why they want to eat at restaurants. People have the reasons why they want to eat at home. It's up to them. But what I've stated here is that depending on them, they have their own ideas as to why they chose one over the other or the opposite. So we will be clearing my drawings here so that I can proceed to my next slide. Okay, so this is my other sample, all right? There are some individuals that opt to eat home-cooked meals. May it be a 3-course meal or just a simple snack, they choose to eat at home for a variety of reasons. However, some prefer to eat outside at their own expense. So this is what I did. I reversed them. I made them inversed so that it would sound much more paraphrased. But when it comes to the arrangement, later you will understand that the way how you arrange which comes first in your introduction, which comes first during your introduction actually plays an important role in the arrangement of your body, the course of your entire essay construction. So this is what I want you guys to remember, okay? Now, let us try to make other introduction out of this, all right? Some people think that personal happiness is directly related to economic success. So let us talk about this for a minute. So some people think, I'm going to use my red mark. Some people think that personal happiness is directly related to economic success. All right. Now, what does this topic mean? All right. What does this topic mean? People have this idea that in order for them to be genuinely happy, it is directly responsive to the economic success. And what does economic success mean? It's so simple. When you say economic success, it can only mean one thing, pera. All right? When it comes to pera, sabi ng iba, okay, sabi po ng iba, para daw sila ay sumaya, kailangan daw po nila ng pera. Okay? So, some people, for them to be happy, kailangan nila magkaroon ng pera. And most people would agree because, you know, for some, money is everything. That is what this idea is about. And that is what you're going to try and explain later. Now we have the other argument, okay? We have the other argument. Others argue that happiness depends on completely different factors. Those completely different factors, the other side of happiness, except money, is something that we don't know yet. That something, that abstract idea is what you need to make concrete. Okay? This abstract idea is what you need to make concrete. So what I'm trying to say is this is unknown. This is X. This is something that we don't know yet. And you will be the one to present a concrete idea what these factors are. All right, what these factors are. Okay, now let us talk about first happiness. Well, most of you would believe that happiness would be related to economic success, and we will have reasons why. Now, I would like to talk about the other reasons. Now, Aljay, tell me, what do you think are the different factors that equate to happiness? Can you tell me? Aljay? Aljay, are you there? The other factors that give happiness to people except money.
Family, sir.
Family.
And
Family and friends.
friends.
So family and friends. Actually, they will be on the same plane because the important thing about family and friends is the relationship that we have with them. Okay, relationship. Now, besides the relationships of our family and friends, what else? What is another factor for a person to be happy? Joy Camille, can you tell me what the other reason is? What the other factor is for a person to become happy apart from money?
Sir, wait lang. Let me think.
Okay.
Maybe, sir, educational attainment. I mean,
Educational attainment?
feeling fulfilled,
Educational attainment?
self-fulfillment, something like that.
Self-fulfillment? Attainment? What's my spelling? Attainment. Actually, I would consider that in the future. But what I would like everyone to understand is my choice here for the other factors are very simple. We have the family and friends relationship, and we have the health.
Health.
We have health. Because you see, many people who are very rich, they want to seek for an extension of their years on the planet. Like they're always, oh, what are the different types of drink that I could try? What are the different concoction that I could brew so that I can lengthen my stay here? So health is going to be a problem. Imagine you are the richest man in the world, but your days are numbered. Definitely, it will not be helping your case anymore to enjoy the fruit of your labor if you're unhealthy, if you're sick. You can't run, you can't go out, you can't experience good things. So you will be sad. So again, we're trying to backtrack on this idea. So for me, those will be my arguments. The first argument why people are happy due to economic success. So how can I interpret that? So I can replace economic success I will be using this one. Instead of using money alone, you can use the word financial stability. Okay, so many individuals believe that happiness comes with, or happiness comes from financial stability. On the other hand, many people assume that health and wellness, together with relationships between family and friends, are among the reasons for a person to become blissful. Again, that is just my take on this. But here is the sample introduction I made some months ago. Okay. First, I have defined that this is a very vague topic. I started with the meaning of happiness is different for everyone, which is true. Okay, my meaning of happiness would be different from you. Your meaning of happiness would be different from the person in this meeting. So we guys agree that happiness meaning is different. Some people argue that economic prosperity, again, this is the economic success, increased wages and reduced commodity prices are few factors that have a direct influence on it. However, other individuals suggest that good interpersonal relationships with family, and then the other is health, are among the factors for one to become pleased. So that is how I made the introduction here. This part tackles about the economic success, this area right here. Okay. And then this, however, this one is your other side. These are the other factors for a person to become happy. So that's it. That is my introduction. You paraphrase, you generalize, you find out what the topic is about. Now, we have another, okay? Some people say that healthcare and education should be the responsibility of the government. But here is the other area. There's a big but right here. But others think, which is we're going to go for the other side. I'm going to use my green marking here. Others think that the responsibility, or it is the responsibility of the individuals themselves. So we are going to discuss both views, and we're also going to give our opinion of the matter. So some people say that healthcare and education should be the responsibility of the government. Tapos yung other side is that those healthcare and education should be the responsibility of the people themselves. And then that is what we're going to make an introduction out of. All right. So first of all, I'm going to begin with many individuals instead of some people. That's too easy. So let me use my black ink so that it will look much more formal. So many individuals argue that the state or the authorities, in replacement for government, the authorities must be the one, or the authorities should provide the needs for both healthcare and education for the entire nation. So many individuals argue that the authorities should provide the needs for both healthcare and education for the entire nation. That is my first statement. Now, once I proceed to the other, I'm going to explain the other's viewpoint. So I can use the word however, or despite this, or nevertheless, but I'd probably use the word meanwhile. Meanwhile, so that I can use on the other hand, nevertheless, despite this later. So meanwhile, other people think that the citizens must be the one responsible for these basic necessities. Right. So many individuals argue that the authority should provide the needs for both healthcare and education for the entire nation. Meanwhile, other people think that the citizens must be the one, or citizens must be the ones, because citizens, plural, one should be parallel, okay? Must be the ones responsible for these basic commodities, namely the healthcare and education. So that is how I'm going to introduce my content if this is the topic that I'm going to write about. So you already know how I'm going to arrange my introduction. I'm going to generalize, I'm going to introduce the other view, I'm going to introduce the other side. So I'll be introducing both of the views, not just one, but I will be refraining from saying, this is my opinion, this is what I think of. I will be refraining from using that. As you can see, no I's, no my's, no me are seen in my introduction. So avoid using those. So that's just my sample for my introduction. Again, we are done with the introduction. We will now be focusing on the body. Before I proceed with the body of your essay for discussable views, do you guys have any questions or concerns? Let me hear it if you have any. Come on, don't be shy. So none. All right, so no questions for the introduction. I hope that everyone gets all the ideas I have for you guys. Now let us focus on the body. Now, in the body of your essay, we will be focusing more on giving reasons, okay, rather than giving examples. There is a paragraph in which examples should be written on the body. Do not write a paragraph that is purely example, and make sure that your arguments for both sides are equal, what we call as balanced writing. So this is what we're going to focus most of our energy of in the balance of our writing. So we want to make sure that your writing will be equal for either sides of your task. So this is where we're going to put most of our effort to. Okay. So we can choose two ways in presenting your body. So we will be either using the first traditional way, which is body 1, body 2. So if I'm going to add an introduction, and a conclusion right here. Okay, and I'm going to put a conclusion right here. How many total paragraphs are we going to write? Okay, let me ask you a question. Mary Rose. Okay, if I have introduction, and then I have the body 1, I have the body 2, and then I have the conclusion, how many paragraphs do you think will be there for the entire essay? Mary Rose Padilla.
Sir, 4.
Correct. Thank you so much. So 4. But the thing is, okay, here's what I want everyone to understand. Your body, okay, your body one, let me use the word the color green for this because it's already green. And let me use the color red for this because it doesn't have any colors yet. So you see, you can split the paragraph for body one. You can make this one. All right. And you can also do this. So now that I did split, body one contains 2 paragraphs now. Body two contains 2 paragraphs now. How many paragraphs are there, Jonalyn Noveno?
Sir, again,
Okay.
paulit po.
So I have the introduction. We will be checking how many. Okay, so I have the introduction, check. I have 1 paragraph for argument ng first view. I have another paragraph for the argument on first view. And for body 2, I split it into argument 1 paragraph, argument 2 paragraph, and then I have the conclusion. So how many paragraphs are there now, Jonalyn?
5 to 6, sir.
Okay, the answer here is 6. Because if we're going to do a recount, okay, we're going to count this again. Introduction contains 1 paragraph. Your body 1, which is the argument just for the first view, I separated it into 1, 2 paragraphs. Your body 2 argument for the second side, I separated this into 1, 2 paragraphs. And then I have a conclusion. So that makes it 1 heart. Oh, bilangin lang natin ang puso. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is why, okay, I'm going to enlarge this. Okay, your task should only be, okay, your writing should only be 4 to 6 paragraphs. Never 5. Okay, does everyone understands it now? If I'm going to go to the path of the traditional paragraphing, it will be 4. But since I want a much better cutting points between arguments, I will be cutting argument 1 into 2. I'll be cutting argument 2 into 2. So that makes it 4 paragraphs in the body, plus your introduction and conclusion. It makes it a total of 6. Now, never 5, except if you see, okay, an instruction, provide examples based on your own knowledge and experience. If you see this in your task instruction, kalagay, some people say that blah, 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 while others say yada, yada, yada. Discuss both views and give your opinion. And then may nakadagdag pa. Provide examples based on your own knowledge and experience. So this is what will happen. Listen to me carefully, ha? I am going to remove all my drawings first. So I have the introduction here. I'm going to use the black ink. All right, I have the introduction. And then I have the body 1, argument 1. I have the body 2, argument 2. And then I have the example paragraph, exactly what I discussed dun sa ating agree-disagree. And then conclusion. Conclusion. That makes the total number of your paragraphs 5. That is the only time that the number of your paragraphs will become 5. Oh, I'm sorry. I have stopped sharing my screen. Let me go back. Okay. That is the only time that the number of your paragraphs will become 5. So by default, okay, by default, we do not write a 5-paragraph essay. it is either 4 or 6. But this changes when I see provide example based on your own knowledge and experience. Exactly what we did in your agree disagree, you will dedicate a paragraph that contains your personal example. But you will still avoid narrative. Narrative must totally be avoided here. Again, what is a narrative? Narrative is telling your personal story. Let me repeat myself again. If you want to add the example paragraph, this is how you begin the example paragraph. Okay, so this is how you do this. The example paragraph. In my experience, I have witnessed many people in I have witnessed seeing many people in huge cities struggling to go to work due to the problems in transportation. That is why the government or I can cut it this. That is the reason why I think that the government should look into the matter of public or adequacy or accessibility of public accessibility of vehicles for public use. All right, so in my experience, I have witnessed seeing many people in huge cities struggling to go to work due to the problems in transportation. That is the reason why I think that the government should look into the matter of accessibility of vehicles for public use. And not when I went to Taiwan, I saw that the traffic is the same as Manila. Again, that is your personal experience, but this is a trap. Examiners want us to think that we are supposed to give our own personal story. But remember, essay writing is not narrative. You're not supposed to tell your personal story. So you will refrain from giving a personal story that has a personal tone. Rather, you use this. Sir, what other words can I use to start besides in my experience? So you can use the words as I have seen. You can also use as I have observed. So you can use those words. As I have observed, I've seen many people in huge cities struggling to go to work due to the problems in transportation. You can easily do something like that. So again, you only do this if you see an instruction, provide examples based on your own knowledge and experience. But if you do not see one, it is so simple. You do not give one. So how many paragraphs by default? 4 to 6. How many paragraphs if you have an extra instruction? 5. Sir, what about I have a 6 paragraph already and I'm going to insert the example paragraph. You do not write 7 paragraphs. Okay, remember that. So you will stick with 4. You add the extra example paragraph. You do a conclusion. That's it. All right. So it's either 4 to 6 by default. Let's say 90% of the time, discuss both views essay will be 4 to 6 paragraphs. You will not see the instruction, provide examples based on your knowledge and experience very often. Where do we normally see that? In an agree-disagree, to what extent in the do you think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? Those are the samples of the instructions where you mostly see the provide examples based on knowledge and experience much more commonly. than discuss both views. So I just want to highlight the importance of that because we might not know when will this type of instruction would come out on the test. I just want everyone to be prepared. Okay. So when it comes to paragraphing, let's say you're done. So here is your introduction. All right. So here's your intro. So your introduction, then you have your paragraph. So obviously your introduction will be your paragraph 1. Excuse me. So your introduction will be your paragraph 1. So we will present the ideas now. So paragraph 2 is the first argument for view A. Paragraph 3 is the second argument for view A. So we call the view A, which is, what is view A? View A is your first idea. So many people say that knowledge from books is better than knowledge from experience. So I will defend the knowledge from books here, and then I will continue here, view A, because I split them up. And then I need an argument for view B right here, which is the knowledge from experience, and then another argument here. So, sir, what are the words that I can use? Let's say on my argument A or view A, okay, I am going to add another. So that this is the part where you can do moreover, furthermore, in addition. And I'm going to transfer now to view B. So of course, you have to give an opposite idea from the one you already presented. So you will be using, however, on the other hand, on the contrary. Now, definitely view B, paragraph 5 will be the next paragraph, which contains the same argument. Then you are going to now use another set of moreover, furthermore, or in addition to that. That is how you arrange your paragraphing. Again, guys, we are not yet writing any parts of the body. I am just telling you how are we going to arrange the paragraphs. So the first would definitely be the view A, or the first view that you mentioned in your introduction. And then the second part will be your body number 2, which is the argument for the second idea. So we can talk about view A. Let's say view A is about responsibility of the government, healthcare, and education. Then view B is the responsibility of the people, healthcare, and education. So you will be explaining the significance, the advantage, the disadvantage of those. Okay. Let's talk about the eating at home and eating at restaurant. So this is my argument. So with the rising cost, so this is argument 1, view A. So my view A here, why people? Okay, let me put a blank here. Okay. So why people, let's talk about this. Why do you think many individuals like to eat at home? So let us defend this idea. Reasons why people eat at home. And then we have another reason why people eat at restaurants. All right, I'm going to ask you guys questions now. Let us first begin with Jeffrey. Jeffrey, tell me, what do you think are the reasons why people eat at home?
Sir, pakiulit.
Okay. Ano ulit, Jeffrey?
Pakiulit pa.
Okay. What are the reasons why people eat at home?
Para sa mas
Bakit sila
makain nila
kumakain
yung
sa bahay?
para sa mas gusto nila makain yung mas gusto nilang kainin talaga.
Okay, so preference.
Maluto nila.
Okay. Sige, tingnan natin. Okay, thank you so much, Jeffrey. Jocelyn, can you give us some input even though you're working right now? Just a very simple thing. Why do you think people eat at home?
It's ano sir, safe and convenient.
Convenient. So you have two inputs. Thank you so much, Jocelyn. Joy Camille, what do you
Sir,
think is another reason?
mas mura po. Mas makakatipid.
So price, we're talking about economical. Again, in IELTS, you don't say cheap. Okay, you don't say cheap. You say economical. You say inexpensive. You say less expensive. Okay, last round para sa ating reasons why people eat at home. Mali yung spelling ko ng people, forgive me. Peple nakalagay. So I missed the O there. What about you, Jonalyn? What do you think are the reasons why people eat at home? Can you give me one?
It's either, sir, comfort or they don't have their own transportation.
Okay, probably comfort, lack of transpo, so it could also be something that we would consider as convenient. Okay. Now, the other people na hindi ko natanong, kayo naman sa reasons why people eat at restaurant. Okay, so first, tanungin natin si Mary Rose Padilla. Tell me, what do you think is the reason why people eat at restaurants?
Sir, ano po, makakain
I'm
po
here.
nila agad without without cooking or
So without cooking, so nakakain nila agad, so we can refer to this as fast. Okay. Easy. Hassle-free. Because they don't need to cook, diba? What about you? LJ and Nina.
Sir, convenience din po because a lot of people are busy in their work.
At their work.
Convenience. Sige. Okay. Yun lang yon ang sagot nyo. Si LJ, ano ang kanyang input?
Sir, there are lots of choices in the restaurant.
Choices.
Good
Good.
choices.
And lastly, Christine, what is another reason why people eat at restaurant? Christine? Christine, I can't hear you. Medyo malabo yung microphone mo.
Sir, celebrating an event po.
Celebration. Diba? So,
Yes.
nila na mag-celebrate na lang sa bahay. Okay.
Wala daw magluluto, sir eh.
Yes, actually, that's it. Preparation is much more difficult at home. But yes, let's round up. This is what I'm going to do. My first idea here, the reason why people eat at home is because of the price. So with the rising cost of commodity these days, people are becoming pragmatic. Pragmatic means practical, all right? And just make their own dishes inside the comfort of their home. So you put a period there. Persons get to budget their money and wisely spend it on raw ingredients of the meals they are going to cook. Actually, pwede pa akong magbigay dyan ng example eh, di ba? So I can give a valid example here. I'll be using extra rice, all right? Because the price of rice in the Philippines is about 35 pesos. Pataas yan, syempre, mas mahal pa yung iba per kilo. Okay? Now, an extra rice in restaurant would cost 25 pesos. Exactly more than half. All right? More than half of a kilo of rice. So you can feed more people with less price. So we can argue that the prices that people will spend in cooking at home on raw ingredients in the meals that they will prepare will be much more economical, and they are, we can categorize them as pragmatic or practical in this expense. So that is my first argument. Now, my next is health. All right? Meron bang nag-input sa akin ng health kanina? Okay, kasi you know what? When it comes to health, many people are health conscious. We want to know what's in the food that we're going to eat. Okay, what's in the food that we're going to eat. So nakalagay dito, by preparing one's own meal, a person is assured of the vitamin and mineral content of the food that will be eaten. People can meticulously measure and control the amount of fat and salt. Again, those are harmful. Those are harmful parts of our daily meals that can contribute greatly to our health. So I can also add more example that a high salt and fat content are attributed to more health risks, particularly cardiovascular diseases. And they are sometimes the food that people order on fast food restaurants. Diba? So yung mga fried chicken, yung mga nuggets, yan. Okay, or what else? Mga sweet food like ice cream. So that will be my second argument. Dinidefend ko lang bakit yung mga tao ay kumakain sa loob ng kanilang bahay kaysa sa restaurant. So the first idea is the price. The second one is the health consciousness of people, the health reason. Next, however, again, I'm going to go to the view B. However, there are those individuals, okay, there are those individuals, I'm going to use the green one now. There are those individuals who prefer to eat in restaurants where they can just sit, relax, and have their favorite meals served to them in a very pleasant and inviting atmosphere. So this is what I will argue as convenient. Kasi para sa akin, mas convenient ito. Tignan nyo ha, why? This is the argument. Time, okay, time is not wasted. Time is not wasted in buying the ingredients, cooking the dish itself, or worse, cleaning the dishes right after. So sa madaling salita, ang dami mong trabaho kapag ikaw ay kumain sa bahay. So you will be buying the ingredients. So example, let me give you an example. You will eat sinigang na bangus, okay? So as you know, for you to cook sinigang na bangus, you will go to the market, let's say 7 o'clock in the morning, tapos na mag-breakfast, you will buy the ingredients you need. So what are the ingredients for sinigang na bangus? Siyempre, kailangan mo ng bangus, di ba? So papalinis mo yun doon sa nag-iisda. So you will buy the vegetables. Pwede mo lagyan ng gabi, pwede mo lagyan ng talbos. Okay, sarap. Okay, and then you will put some pampaasim like santol, or if you want santol, if you want to put gabi, it's up to you. Iba-iba tayo ng versions, but my version, I want it to have santol as pampaasim. So uwi ka ng bahay, syempre, you will be chopping those ingredients, you will be slicing the bangus. Dilinisin mo yung pa yan sa bahay kasi hindi ka masyadong sure kung malinis na ba talaga ang pagkakalinis ng mag-iisda. So, by 8:30, nakauwi sa bahay. By 9 o'clock, you're preparing. 9:30, nagluluto, nagsaing. 9:30, 10, nagsaing para mainit pa rin ang sinaing. 10, 10:30, 11, naluto. Waiting na lang sa mga kakain. 12, kumain. Hinanda, hinain mo yan sa lapag. Okay, and sa hapag, kainan. And then, naghugas ka pa ng pinggan by 1 p.m. And the dilemma doesn't stop there. Iisip ka na naman, ano na naman kaya ang ulam namin mamayang gabi? Di ba? So that's the problem, all right? With the inconvenience of eating at home, and not everyone is talented in doing that. Di ba? Kaya nga ito yung aking susunod na argument. Not everyone is given with the talent of cooking. So furthermore, the meals individuals can enjoy are not constricted by the person's skills and familiarity of the dishes they know how to cook. Diba? A family can enjoy an assortment of cuisines from appetizers down to desserts just by looking at the menu of a restaurant or by transferring to another if they please. So it can either be something na let's say I want to eat American cuisine or I want to eat Japanese cuisine, then they should go to a Japanese restaurant. I want to eat Korean dishes, then I should go to a Korean restaurant. So instead na ikaw ay mag-aaral pa, magluluto kung paano yung preparation ng mga cuisines na yun, you don't know how to make pizza, you don't have an oven at home, you don't know what the ingredients to buy, ang hirap maghanap ng mozzarella cheese lately, ang mahal ng mozzarella cheese. So why would you do that, right? Why would you prepare it if you can just buy it? If you can just do takeouts, if you can just do ordering online, okay? So that is my take on this. again, you will see the samples uploaded later on our Facebook group. So you don't have to copy everything. I just want you to see how we are going to argue on this part. So conclusion, guys, this is by far the most important part of your discuss both views. Discuss both views and give your opinion. Discuss both views and give your opinion. O kahit discuss both views lang na walang opinion, walang give your opinion. Because even though you do not see that you should be giving an opinion, your conclusion will contain your opinion, it will contain a stand. Again, let me revisit that. There's no opinion. There's no, Ja, why are you writing on my, yan, Ja, nagdo-drawing ka pa.
Sir, sorry. Tinry ko lang yung pen.
Lagi na lang. All right. So what I'm trying to say is that we do not have an opinion in the beginning. You will not be giving your own point of view in the body. But in conclusion, this is a must. All right. In conclusion, this is a must. You need to have either an opinion. We refer to it as your stand. So you will be providing one. Okay. Now, you can either use the terms in conclusion. You can use the terms to conclude. You can also use the words to summarize or in summary, in general. Okay, as some of the words you can choose if you don't like to use in conclusion or to conclude, but you should never use the word therefore I conclude. Examiners hate seeing the therefore or hence or thus. So use the words in conclusion or to conclude instead, and forget your thus, you forget those therefore, forget the hence, and most especially avoid the therefore I conclude. All right, examiners don't like it. So either in conclusion, to conclude, to summarize, in summary, or in general. Okay, so that is how you do a conclusion. So when it comes to your side, by the way, some people say that economic success is all it takes to achieve happiness. And then others say that it is from completely different factors. Discuss both views and give your opinion. So this is our topic. So we have different ways in which we can provide our stand. So the first one, okay, the first stand is for side one completely. So it's either you chose eating at home, then that will be your opinion. In my opinion, eating at home is still better than eating at restaurants. That's it. Or it could be for side two completely, or eating at restaurants if that's what you want. It can be for both. Guys, you know what? The good thing about discuss both views is you can choose them both. You can actually argue that the first view is something which is not yet coming into fruition. It's not yet ripe. It's not yet completely developed. And there is a suggestion that you want to happen so that view one, side one, view two, side two, view A, view B. Okay, I'm referring to them as different terms, but you already know the two views, okay, can work together side by side in the future. That's why you're choosing both. And for me, choosing both is what I suggest so that it will be playing safe. And you can actually choose for neither, but this one is what I do not suggest because neither means you will be presenting a new set of idea, all right? That is why we are going to erase the for neither. So you either choose, if you are a fan of the first side, then choose the first side. If you're the fan of the second side, then choose the second side. If you're a fan of both, then choose both. Again, both is what I suggest that you pick because it plays safe. Okay, it's a much safer path for us. So one-sided, let me give you an example from one-sided. So in summary, okay, happiness is always based subjectively. from my perspective, having everything does not equate to genuine happiness. Rather, the right amount of balance to everything, including relationship with others, good health, and stable income are the keys to unlock inner peace and joy. Now for both, okay, to conclude, happiness is holistic. All right, happiness is holistic. People who say that happiness does not have to do anything with being financially stable do not know its true value. Instead, real happiness is all about being fulfilled in all aspects of life. This one kasi is more imbalanced because ang answer niya is more on the relationship with others, good health, pero sinama na din niya yung stable income. So it would sound somewhat both. But the main idea here is that relationship with others and then good health. So summary was complete. Summary was performed accurately. All right. So if this is my sample, several people enjoy home cooked meals. All right. Oh. Several people enjoy home cooked meals. So I'm going to use my annotations again. So several people enjoy home cooked meals for health and practical reasons. But this is the opposite, nevertheless. So let's take a look at my answer here. I am one of those who prefer to dine in restaurants after comfort and diversity whenever the opportunity to eat is given. So I chose eating at restaurants, much better choice than eating at home. That is my opinion. That is my stand. That is the buildup of my essay. It's very accurate. Okay, so that is how you make a conclusion. Now let's look at more of samples that we might encounter in the test. So some people prefer to live in the house, while others feel that there are more advantages to living in an apartment. So discuss both views and give your opinion. So I will ask questions. Okay, I will be covering this up first with white. Oh, I think yellow would be good. All right. Shall make some annotations here. I'll use a white text. Black one. All right. So guys, let's have a roundup. Advantages. So living. So house, living in a house versus living in an apartment. Okay, let's first have a look. Christine, tell me about the advantages of living in a house. Again, Christine?
Sir, wait lang. Sir, more comfortable. Kasi malaki.
Comfort.
Kaysa sa apartment.
Comfort. Size. Okay. What about you, Alj and Nina? Can you tell me some other reasons why it's better to live in a house than in an apartment? Alj and Nina. Alj, Nina, you're muted.
Sir, I think you can do anything that you want when you are living in. Yeah.
Yes. But this is what I want to happen now. I also want you to give me a disadvantage of living in a house. What is the disadvantage of living in a house? Mary Rose Padilla.
Sir, wala po ako maisip, sir.
Okay, let me give you one. Let me help you. Bills. And also, we have your property taxes. So my argument here is that, let's say, you live elsewhere. So you will still have to pay for the minimum bills. Let's say, nagpunta ka ng, nagtrabaho ka in abroad, and then you still have to pay for the minimum bills, and then you still have to pay your yearly property taxes. Not to mention, meron pa yung mga maintenance, meron pa yung mortgage, kailangan may caretaker ka pa rin dyan. So it's going to be not an asset for someone who works and lives abroad. Ba? So what about apartment? Let us talk about apartment. Jocelyn, tell me, what do you think is the advantage in living in an apartment?
Siguro sir yung easy access.
Access to what?
Access to siguro po to
School?
or access to
School.
school.
Diba? Halimbawa, Jocelyn, ikaw ay college student. Saan ka ba nag-college, Jocelyn?
Sa Santa Isabel, sir.
Saan
Sa
yun?
Manila. Sa
Napakalayo,
Manila,
di ba? Taga saan
sa
ka?
Taft. Taga Laguna.
O di ba? From Laguna to Taft, magbabiyahe ka araw-araw, nakakapagod 'yun. O di mag-apartment ka, di ba? Access. That's the advantage. Ano pa? Jeffrey, bigyan mo ako ng isa pang idea. Ano ba ang advantage ng pagtira sa isang apartment?
Sir, katulad nung sinabi niya, sir, dun sa pagpasok sa trabaho, kung kunyari, mas malapit yung trabaho mo dun sa apartment mo.
Dadagdag natin 'yon, di ba?
Mas
Access to
madali
work.
na kasi, sir.
Pwede rin, tama. Pero gusto ko ng iba sana bukod sa access. Meron pa bang iba? Sige, Jeffrey, tutulungan kita. Price. Kasi ang binabayaran mo lang sa bahay ay renta. Yun ang isa sa disadvantage din ng house. Kasi sa house, it's actually very expensive to own a house. Imagine the cost of building a house, di ba? It would take you for about, a medium-sized house for a person of a family of 3, like nagsisimula pa lang na family, probably about around 800,000 to 3 million, di ba? That's really expensive for starting up. Paano kung young people pa lang sila? Let's say they're just working, they're minimum age earners. How can they possibly afford that? So, apartment muna habang sila ay nag-iipon. Diba? So, the price and the rent is very subjective here. So, gusto ko lang magkaroon kayo ng ganitong idea. Paano tayo mag-arrange? Okay? So, ito yung advantage ng house. However, disadvantage. On the other hand, advantage ang apartment. Tapos, despite this, disadvantage ang apartment. And then, conclusion. Ano ang gusto mo? Gusto ko, sir, both eh. Diba? O, in conclusion, I believe that the choice of living in a house and an apartment still relies on the capability and the access of families. So, I am in favor in reducing the rent of apartment and making the house ownership accessible in the future. So yun ang aking opinion. I want them both, 'di ba? Para sa lahat ng tao. So that will be my idea here. Okay, tuloy naman natin dito sa some working parents. Yan. So some working parents think that childcare centers provide the best care for children. So for those of you guys who don't know, we refer to childcare centers, yung mga daycares, yan, daycare, nursery, preparatory school. Yan. Yan yung tinatawag nating childcare centers. So some people daw, they think that much better daw ang mga daycares, nursery, preparatory schools for their children. Okay? So bibigyan natin yan ng advantage, disadvantage. Pero yung isang point of view, ang argument ng iba was the grandparents would be the one providing a much better overall care for their children. So first, bigyan nga natin ng advantage. What is the main advantage of leaving the children in daycare, nursery, preparatory school? So let me ask you, Jonalyn, what do you think is the main advantage of leaving the children. Let's say you have kids, you don't know where to leave them. So, iiwan mo sila sa daycare center, nursery and preparatory school, kindergartens, kasama rin yan. What is the advantage? Jonalyn.
Sir, yung ano po, yung access po tsaka convenience, magkaiba po kasi sila pagka sa nursery or preparatory schools, they can also educate the children po.
Okay. Tapos sabi niya, educate. Okay, sige. Christine Magadia, you raised your hand. Do you have any questions?
Di po sir, add ko lang din po sana. Naunahan lang ako.
Okay. Sige. Sige, total, you opened your microphone. I want you to tell me what are the other advantages for
Yung
those...
yung socialization po nila, yung mga bata, yung interaction with other children.
Correct. Diba? Kasi ang hirap mo magbabanding yung mga bata. Kabanding nila mga lolo, di ba? Tong-its, tapos yung ang ginagawa nila. So mahirap nga yun. Tama. Okay. So, what about disadvantage? Jao, bigyan mo nga ako ng disadvantage. Bigyan mo ako ng disadvantage ng daycare, nursery, and preparatory school. So, pulahan natin ito. Jao.
Wait lang, sir.
Ayoko nang wait.
Disadvantage.
May anak ka, Jao. Iniwan mo sa daycare, nursery, preparatory school, sa kindergarten. Anong disadvantage? Anong risk?
They are in danger.
Danger?
Sorry.
Anong danger? Tell me.
They are in danger for... I don't know, sir. Maisip more on advantages din ako.
Sige. So let me give you an idea, Jao. Well, you see, there are children. And you know what? In the US, there is a study that many of the social workers, many of the preparatory school instructors are the ones who are actually sexual predators. And as a parent, it is difficult for you to think na yung child mo namomolest siya nang nasa malayo sa akala mo safe sila doon, di ba? What else? Yes, may socialization ang mga children, but we don't know if children can get bullied. Yung bullying is also another
Yes, sir,
topic.
bullying.
That is the disadvantage of leaving the children from daycare centers and convenience. Oh, yes, Christine, you raised your hand again. Tell me, what is it?
Sir, minsan nakapipick up po nila yung bad habits or bad attitudes ng ibang children.
Another thing from socialization. So you can go from socialization being the advantage and socialization as the disadvantage. That's actually a good turn of path after that. Now, let's talk about grandparents. Okay, I would like to ask LJ and Nina, what is the advantage of leaving the children in the care of their grandparents?
Ay, ano po, mas mabibigyan ng tamang pag-aalaga, especially
care. Let me put that in green. Care.
And
Proper care.
And value. Proper value.
Yes, they can also impart proper or impart the tradition, values, customs, and things alike. But I would like to ask Nina. Nina, what is the disadvantage of leaving the children in the care of grandparents?
Sir, pagka po yung halimbawa po, physically, hindi na po physically able yung grandparents because matanda na sila.
Okay, that's one. Hindi na sila masyado makakope up dyan. Well, you know what? I have another input, guys. My take on this is that grandparents, they can spoil children. Well, this is very subjective, but this is what majority of us can understand. Grandparents tend to spoil the children with too much love and affection. They're very excited with their grandchildren to the point na they give them sweets, they let them play, they don't let them sleep. So you can give specific examples like that. Tapos kapag pinapagalitan yung kid, sasabihin, mag-i-interfere si grandparents, sabihin, oh, don't hurt my grandchild, don't hurt him or her. That's it. Okay. Yeah, and Geronimo, being spoiled. Thank you so much for the input. Okay. So spoiling the kids, the grandkids would be the disadvantage of grandparents. So that's it. Pati yun nagiging topic sa IELTS, so you have to be knowledgeable about those issues. So let us proceed with samples. Let me provide you with samples. Okay. So some say that knowledge from experience is better than knowledge gained from books. Some say it is the other way around. So we're going to discuss both views and give your opinion. Now, there is no limit when it comes to acquisition of information, and the methods in which people can get them vary. Ibig sabihin nun, yung paraan kung paano natin ma-acquire ang knowledge ay nag-iiba-iba. Yun ang ibig sabihin niyan. All right. Now, we have this argument. So let me use the red mark for the first view. Okay, red. Where are you? Okay. So some say that knowledge from experience better than knowledge gained from books. So this one, however, the question as to whether knowledge from daily experience, tama, is more beneficial than that acquired from reading materials, again, gained from books, still remains unresolved for some. Ibig sabihin, for many people, it's still unclear which one should they get information from, whether it's the books that they should get information from, or whether it's the actual personal experience by people. So now we shall see the arguments from the body. So first, the defense on why books are what many people prefer. So people prefer knowledge from books because they consider contents of these to be theoretical in nature. So many of our books, many of our lessons, many of our information, especially in school. So we need that theoretical foundation of those ideas. They believe that these contain facts which have been proven through the years of data collection and analysis. An example for this is a nonfiction book titled The Art of Body Language. I'm giving an example by Charles Bayer that enables learners to understand the personality of a certain person based merely on one's action. Because of how deep our science in terms of psychology is, we can now understand the behavior of people by reading the book, The Art of Body Language, because of its extensive research, and it is used in our psychology, our modern psychology today. So that is the first argument. Now I have another argument, another reason why people favor knowledge from books is due to convenience. Technological advancements make it even easier to acquire the information because the contents of books are already transcribed on computers. Ibig sabihin, yung books, madali lang siyang makuha, and even today, it's much easier dahil yung books, pwede mo na siyang makuha on computer. For instance, just by looking at certain web search engines like Google, one will be able to gather the needed information with just a click of a finger. On the other hand, a lot of people believe that knowledge gained from experience is better than that from books since it is based from one's activities. This makes the acquired knowledge more unforgettable and long-lasting. Since you are doing you're getting the information, you're acquiring the knowledge firsthand. You are physically, your body is, muscle memory, okay? It's much more long-lasting. It's being inculcated deep within a person's mind and personality once it has been applied onto everyday living. So because of the practice, so we have two sides. So we have the theory, we have the practice. So since people do this occasionally, people do this regularly, let's say injection, like it's easy to talk about how to inject a drug. Let's say nursing, medicine, all right? It's easy to discuss how to inject a drug, but in practice, if you don't know how to use it properly, so it doesn't have any point. But if you're a nurse and you inject a drug to a person or to a pediatric patient over and over again, let's say you vaccinate people 200 times each day. So, your memory, your muscle memory will be automatic already. So that's the idea why the defense of experience acquisition, knowledge acquisition through experience is actually a better option as well. In addition, specializations in a field of science require first-hand experience. So again, to illustrate, medical-related courses necessitate students to deal with patients in a real-life setting. This will make them well-rounded professionals after they graduate. So hindi lang nila kailangan ng theoretical foundation. They also need the practice. They also need to do demonstrations of their skills. So not only knowledge, but also skills. So here's my conclusion. Knowledge from books and from experience has their own significance. Kanya-kanya yan. As for me, I favor, again, my opinion, those gained from experience because it encompasses all aspects of learning that can be useful in many life situations. Hence the example I used. Okay? Now, isa pang sample. International sporting events. So bago tayo magsimula, tanungan portion na naman tayo. Na alam kong paborito niyong lahat. So let me put red na lang. Sige, red. Para kitang-kita niyo. Okay. So many people want their country to host an international sporting event. Pwede mong impisahan niya na many individuals suggest their nation to host sporting events. However, others or other people argue that these bring only more disadvantages than positive outcomes. That is your introduction already. Now, let's go to the body. So, hosting an international event versus advantage. So, the advantage. And then, we're going to try and explain the disadvantage. So what are those international sporting events? Let me give you some ideas. So we're looking at Olympics. So we have Paralympics. We also have SEA Games, Southeast Asian Games. We have FIBA, you have FIFA, you have many other international competitions. So these are the games that, when countries host them. Let us talk about the advantages. All right. So hosting an international event. What is the advantage in hosting an international sporting event? So let me ask a question. Christine, what is the advantage to a country when that nation hosts an international sporting event?
Can boost our economy, sir.
Sir, ano po, sir?
Boost our economy. How? How is that going to happen?
By advertising our cultures and values.
Advertising.
And also,
So, you know the word that we will be using here? Showcase. Showcase. Na ibabandera natin ang ating bansa, na ipapakita natin yung hospitality ng Filipinos. And in return, it will boost by word of mouth, by advertisements, by sponsorships. Siyempre, may mga sponsors yan na gusto nilang makita yung kanilang mga logos, gusto nilang ma-present yung kanilang mga networks, di ba? So it can showcase our traditions, customs, the beauty of a nation, and in the process, economical advantage. So that is the advantage of hosting an international event. Okay. Now, what about the disadvantage? Sino ba di ko natatanong? Christine Mercado. Can you tell me what is the disadvantage of hosting an international event to a country?
it can cost a lot for our government for
Cost
funding.
a lot. Yes, it costs a lot of money. Okay. The disadvantages of hosting international countries that it costs a lot for the host. And you know what? We even have a problem. Many of the stadiums built, we have one in Brazil, we have one in London when we did the Rio de Janeiro Olympics, you have the London Olympics 1984. we have the Tokyo Olympics, we have the Shanghai Olympics. Now, if you want to look for where those stadia are, kung nasaan na yung mga coliseum, mga infrastructure na yun, wala na siya. Sira na siya, hindi na siya na-maintain. Kasi, you know, the disadvantage actually outweigh kung i-maintain pa nila yun. Wala nang sponsor, wala nang event na gaganapin doon. Yeah, pwede siyang pag-practice ng ibang athletes, but hindi siya ganun ka-advantageous because the facilities are very far. Nilalagay kasi sila dun sa mga malalayo sa tao. So hindi siya na masyado napapakanap. The access of those locations are very far. So the advantage of hosting international event, economical advantage, but it also is going to hurt in terms of the economical prowess of a country because we might not be able to give, we might not able to return how much we spend, something like that. So now let me see how I'm going to discuss this. So first of all right, here is my introduction. So my introduction, there are many individuals today who hold the view that allowing a country to organize various world sports competition would allow them to gain numerous advantages. Those advantages I'm not going to present right away. Meanwhile, other citizens are firm in the notion that such events would only bring more harm to the host nation. Sabi dyan, bring more problems than benefits. Bring more harm to the host nation rather than the advantage. So, I'm going to move to my next slide, which is the advantage of hosting an international sporting event. By permitting countries to host international sports events, they could ensure the safety and welfare of their athletes. Unang-una tayong host. Okay, nandito na sa atin yung mga athletes. Okay, many studies claim that host countries' participants perform better in competition when they are in their home field. Siyempre, home court advantage yun di ba? So this advantage not only translates to huge morale boost that contestants need to win, but also allow for economic benefits as well. How? Such occasions require the host nation to spend significant amount of budget for infrastructure, logistics, and food. Kasi pag tayo ang nag-host, kailangan natin magtayo ng infrastructure. Kailangan natin mag-isip paano natin itatransport from the airport yung ating mga athletes at yung mga athletes participants sa ibang country at yung pagkain nila. Ngayon, as a result, jobs would be created and the money spent will return as sponsorships and investors appear. Okay. When you say jobs will be created, kailangan natin ng drivers. Kailangan natin ng mga tagaluto ng pagkain nila. Kailangan natin ng mga tagatahi ng uniform. Kailangan natin ng mga tagabuo. Kailangan natin ng mga carpenters. Kailangan natin ng mga engineers, architects. We need a lot of jobs. Kailangan natin ng mga nurses, ng mga doctors para sa clinics, di ba? Kung may mga ma-injured. So nakabuo siya ng job. Ngayon, babalik ba sa atin yun? Yes, because sponsorships will happen. Investors will appear because they will see how hospitable the country is. They will see how beautiful the nation is. Okay, on the other hand, tingnan naman natin yung disadvantage. There are various disadvantages to the nations by allowing them become the primary organizers, again, of sports competition. One drawback is that, okay, let me use my my highlighter. Okay, one drawback is that sports stadiums serve as temporary infrastructures only. As I've mentioned, the idea of building those infrastructure is only for one time and it will not be repeated anytime soon. Even if, tingnan natin, even if, pwede kasing i-maintain di ba? Host countries maintain them for future local use. Pwedeng gamitin ng local athletes. They would require significant amount of budget, allocation, which would not translate to sponsorships and investments anymore. O hindi na siya mako-convert into sponsorships, hindi na siya mako-convert sa investments. Sir, makakapag-practice pa naman sila. But kailangan nga natin siyang i-renovate. Kailangan natin siyang i-convert into something na pwede nilang gamitin as a facility for practice. For instance, let me give you examples. Many international arenas around the world, such as that in London, Moscow, and Brazil, have become areas of desolation. Pwede kang mag-YouTube mamaya, tingnan mo yung mga arenas na yon, mga previous Olympic stadiums sa Brazil, sa London, sa Moscow, tinutubuan na ng mga damo. Nagbibitak-bitak na yung mga lupa, wala nang bubong. Alright, di na nila maintain. They become ruins of what once was and cannot be used anymore. Okay, eto nga yung argument. The massive budget, kasi bilyon ang ginagastos dyan, the massive budget used there, dun sa mga locations, could have been used, tinuro ko sa inyo to sa grammar core, that could have been used is nagamit sana sa iba. For a country's poverty, hunger, and housing problems instead. Mali ako ng spelling, county, country dapat to. Alright, so you already get the idea. So what will be the solution here? What will be the conclusion? Okay, in conclusion, definitely kailangan ko i-acknowledge, meron talagang benefits eh. Alright, we have to acknowledge that. In conclusion, there are great benefits of hosting international events. But I assert that countries should prioritize the most pressing issues first. I assure that the elation, yung saya, brought by sports competition can be outweighed by the citizens' morale if their social problems are eradicated. Kasi the idea is we want to boost the morale of the nation. Is that by sports? Well, in a short time, pwede. Saglit, sasaya tayo. Nanalo tayo, yes. But after a week, gutom na naman ang mga citizens mo. After a week, marami na namang may sakit. Housing problems exist, the food shortage persists, education, ang daming problema na yung millions na yun, pwede namang mag-participate tayo sa sports, pwede namang galingan ng mga sports competitors natin na hindi tayo yung host, hindi natin kailangan gumastos ng sobrang laki kung hindi pa natin kaya. Well, in the future, if we can somehow do like what Los Angeles did when they hosted competitions, what London did, or what other major cities in the world did, like Tokyo. They're rich. They can afford that. They can mitigate losses. At after ng competition, hindi na nila magamit yung walang masyadong malaking mawawala. But there are many social problems that exist in third world countries like the Philippines, and we cannot ignore that. That's the reason why I have come up with this conclusion that even though I acknowledge na ang pag-host talaga ng international events ay may benefit, I still think na kung ang gusto natin makuha is yung morale boost, we can actually get that without compensating the citizens' morale, citizens' social problems solution. So that will be my perception with this matter. Okay, so now that is the end of my lecture. But before I cut this recording, before I stop this presentation, before we end this meeting, does anyone have a question? If you guys have questions kanina, pwede nyo po yun itanong na ngayon. Okay? All right. So no one is asking question, but I still want to add more. Again, this is a recap how you arrange your ideas. So you have your introduction, presentation of two views, okay, and then you have body. Again, body can be written as 1, positive. And then you have body again, body 1, still body 1. And then for body 2, okay, bear with me guys. Konti na lang to. I know some of you are thirsty and all right, so this is the first way of doing your presentation for discussable views. But we can also do this, all right? All right. Are you guys seeing this? So what I want you guys to do is to follow either of my suggestions here. So I'm going to use the yellow here. And then I'm going to use a blue one. Okay. Now, body. Okay, the body here, let's say this one is about eating at home. Okay. And this one is about eating at restaurant. Okay. Now, you guys are seeing that I am putting, okay, I'm waiting for my annotation. Okay. So I'm putting that you have positive for eating at home, and then for the other idea, another paragraph, you have another positive for eating at home, then you have positive for eating at restaurant, and then positive for eating at restaurant. Now, for your body, you can use this as just one paragraph. You can use this as just one paragraph. So that makes it 1 paragraph, 2 paragraph, 3 paragraph, 4 paragraph in total. Now, let me use eating at restaurant as our sample again. Nakita nyo, ang dami nating argument ng positive, ang dami nating argument ng negative. That is the reason why I want you to think, am I going to go for puro positive lang na argument, or am I going to go with positive, negative sa view 1 and then positive, negative on the other view? Okay, so eating at home, and then here is another eating at restaurant. So that's it. So we have the eating at home, we have the eating at restaurant. So what's advantage of eating at home? Let's say the positive is that the selection of the ingredients would be healthier, safety, kasi pagka eating at restaurant, hindi natin alam, baka marumi ang preparation, baka unsanitary ang preparation, di ba? So health and practical reason. Ang negative, eating at home, it is the hassle, you know, because you have to buy the ingredients, you have to prepare, you have to cook, and then you have to wash the dishes. Now, on the other hand, doon ka naman mag-negate, that is the advantage of eating at restaurant. You can eat at your own comfort, especially if you're a worker. Magbigay ka na example. For example, workers from 8 to 5, yung mga may 8 to 5 na work, diba? Wala na silang time para uwi ng bahay, maghihiwa, maggigisa ng sibuyas dyan, at magluto. Kasi luluto mo pa kalderetang baka, iluluto mo pa kare-kare, napakatatagal lutuin nun. Diba? Tapos hugasan mo pa, ang hirap hugasan nun, na mantika. Tapos napapasok ka pa ng 1 p.m., di ba? Order ka na lang, di ba? Kaya offices in Manila, they just order food, or sometimes they prepare their own food if they really want that. But that's what restaurant eating comes into the picture. It offers convenience. Ano yung negative? Of course, yun nga, price and sanitation. So you can do positive, negative, or you just go with positive, 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 positive. Hindi pwede positive, positive view 1, positive, negative view 2. Again, hindi yun ang tinatawag nating balanced writing. That's why you only have 2 types of presentation right here. Again, sir, can I also put this body 1, body 2 in 1 paragraph? If that's what you want, okay? But for me, I would rather split them up because they would look bulky. So para sa akin, hahatiin ko yan into 2. Okay, paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, plus your introduction. Again, I'm going to use a stamp. You have your introduction. You have paragraph 1 for the positive argument, eating at home. You have paragraph 2, body, negative argument, eating at home. On the other hand, positive argument, eating at restaurant. And then, however, negative arguments, eating at restaurant, and then your conclusion. That makes it a total of 6 paragraphs. But again, if you want, you can just put your body 1 and 2, argument for eating at home, and then body 2, body 2 for eating at restaurant, plus your conclusion, that makes it 4. So once again, it is either 4 or 6 paragraphs, and your essay writing for discussable views can be 5 paragraphs only if you have the special instruction, provide knowledge based on your own personal experience. And that's it. That is the end of your discussable views. Do you have any clarifications? Please, if you have any, ask me now. Okay. Christine, Jocelyn, Aljay, Nina, Jeffrey, Mary Rose, Jao, Jonalyn, Ange, Christine Mercado, Joy Camille. Do you have any questions?
Sir, pagka
Yes,
po
sir.
basta halimbawa po isang paragraph na positive, isang example lang po doon.
Yes, isang example. Yung example lang na fit doon sa theme ng paragraph na yun.
Thank you po.
Because if you give more than 1 or even 2 or 3 examples, that makes your paragraph purely full on examples. Eh, di ba? Naglalagay lang naman tayo ng isang example sa isang paragraph kung meron tayong example paragraph. So, laging ganun yun. Give the argument, explain the argument, provide the example, and then yung simple closing statement to summarize everything for the paragraph. So, one example, pero kung dalawa, let's say, many sport events such as Olympics, FIBA World Cup, and Southeast Asian Games. O tatlo, pwede yan. Yes, Jocelyn, you raise your hand. You have a question?
Opo. Sir, pagka po ba yung paragraph is positive and negative, pag magbibigay ka po ba, kailangan dalawa din yung example, isa sa positive and isa sa negative? Or you can just give one example and then you will just choose between positive or negative?
Well, as I've mentioned in our previous major lectures, kahit nga sa isang entire essay, may isa ka lang na paragraph. Let's say, 4 paragraphs ng body. So, ito yung first 2. Ito yung view A. Let's say, reading books. Okay, ito yung first. Ito yung second. May example ako dito wala. Sa third paragraph, wala. Okay lang. Pero mas okay sana kung mayroon yung opposite side para mas maganda lang yung justification.
Okay po, sir. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, Jocelyn. Who else? May questions pa po yung iba? Questions? Jonalyn, may tanong ka?
Wala po, sir.
Okay. Jeffrey, how's your very first attendance of writing task? Did you enjoy it?
Yes, sir.
Napaka-hinhin ni Jeffrey. Napaka-kalmado niya. Alright. What about you, Mary Rose? Wala ka bang tanong?
Wala po, sir.
Okay. What about you, Christine Mercado? Do you have any concerns? And Geronimo, you have a question? Okay, so perhaps I'm going to end this lecture now since no one's asking me questions. Don't forget, samples will be posted on our Facebook group and on our Discord channel. So feel free to analyze and to internalize the samples I have. Meron din doon, public school, private school, may mga ganun tayong questions. So you just have to make yourself familiar. Don't forget to acquire as much information as you can by reading the Orange Book and reading newspapers and other English intellectual materials. So that's it. Have a nice day, everyone. God bless and good luck on your exams. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you
Eat
po.
your lunch now.